Welcome to Channel 17, DHH&H News. Kira, Kelly, and Natalie here with a breaking story from the FDA involving cochlear implants and deaf children. Deafness isn't cured by cochlear implants. It turns out the measures that parents are taking to A, implant their children with cochlear implants, and B, put them in speech therapy. Those two options are not the only precautions parents should be aware of. There's one key element that they need to include in their child's education, and that is American Sign Language, also known as ASL. According to the FDA, after implantation is complete, quote, adults often benefit immediately and continue to improve for about 3 months after the initial tuning sessions. However, children may improve at a slower rate. A lot of training is needed after implantation to help the child use the new hearing he or she now experiences. So, cochlear implants and speech therapy, they only go so far without the use of American Sign Language. What are the benefits of ASL, you ask? Let's go to our news anchor, Kelly. Kelly?
Thank you, Kira. Yes, even if a child is implanted, including ASL in the child's education will provide numerous benefits for both you and your child. It's proven that even if the child has a cochlear implant, the child's speech improves when taught using the bilingual bicultural method. Bilingual bicultural education, or BiBi education, is the incorporation of a person's native language and culture to help aid in the teaching of another language or subject, such as English, math, and history. According to a study from the Journal of Deaf Studies and Deaf Education about the relationship between American Sign Language and English literacy, it proves that children with cochlear implants have the potential to thrive in their acquisition of English and speech if they have already developed the deaf community's native language of ASL. This BiBi method is not only useful for deaf children, but children whose first language is anything but English.
Kelly, very interesting. Now, you spoke about language acquisition in terms of learning English and speech therapy, but according to the National Center of Biotechnology, the NCBI, quote, if deaf children are exposed to sign language at an early age, from approximately 6 months onward, they begin to babble with their hands, just as hearing infants babble audibly. This suggests that regardless of the modality, early experience shapes language behavior. Now, my question to you, Kelly, is what about the children who learn sign language at a later stage in life? Does ASL still benefit them?
Yes, even if your child is already implanted and entering speech therapy, learning ASL can only provide benefits for you and your child. The important thing to remember if your child is implanted is that there are instances when the child must take off the cochlear implant, thus leaving them deaf. This is why cochlear implants are not a cure. These instances can happen often. Some common times when implants are either removed or ineffective occur during showering, swimming, sleeping, and sometimes being in crowded, noisy places, like on a school bus or in a classroom. This is where ASL can really come in handy. According to the book, A Journey into the Deaf World, the benefits of learning ASL are exponential, including with both performance and psychological benefits. This means the child will have less frustration because they will have 24/7 language and communication access, higher self-esteem because of their ability to communicate for themselves, and you will see enhanced language and literacy skills in your child. Other benefits include the fact that your child will become a bilingual learner and communicator. They will develop small motor skills, build better vocabulary in both languages, and improve their spelling. Learning ASL with your child can only benefit you in similar ways, but most importantly, you can know that your child will continuously have language access and regardless of the situation, be able to communicate clearly and effectively with you.
Thank you, Kelly. It does seem that ASL and BiBi education are wonderful opportunities for deaf children to be involved in. But for the parents who decide that cochlear implants are the path they want to pursue with their children, there's some important information that they should know first. Let's go to Natalie with the story.
Every year, 2 of 1,000 babies are born deaf. Of the deaf population, more than 90% are born to hearing parents. For hearing parents, choosing cochlear implants for their child seems like a natural instinct because they want their child to hear it as well. The truth is, cochlear implants do not cure deafness. In no way, shape, or form is it a cure for deafness. It is merely a technological aid or crutch for your child to fall back on. Since 2012, roughly 38,000 children have been implanted with cochlear implants.
Wow, Natalie, I was not aware that 38,000 children were implanted with cochlear implants in the last few years. This makes me wonder, however, are there any risks that parents should be aware of?
There are many things to consider before deciding if cochlear implants are what is best for your child's learning development. Again, it is not a cure for deafness. It is a technological aid. Implanting the device does require surgery, and with surgery comes risks. These risks may include infection, facial nerve paralysis, temporary or permanent. The device may not be as successful as one would hope. People have reported that sounds are heard differently. Sounds are perceived more synthetic rather than a normal hearing. Cochlear implants do not guarantee that your child will be able to understand language well. There's no test a person can take before surgery to predict how well they will learn language after surgery.
How many pets do you have?
That one I don't know. One more time.
How many pets do you have?
What professors do I know?
How many pets do you have?
How many pesos do I own?
How many pets do you have?
I don't know what you're saying.
Okay. When are you going to graduate?
Who am I friends with? Is that right?
No.
No?
When are you going to graduate?
Graduate? Is a graduate in there?
When are you going to graduate?
When do I graduate? Fuck if I know.
Even with early implantation, there is prime language learning time that has been lost. Cochlear implants may have unknown and uncertain effects. Cochlear implants stimulate the nerve directly with electrical impulses. Although it appears safe, long-term effects of these electrical currents are unknown at this time. There are some medical examinations that you are not allowed to have if you have a cochlear implant, a major one being MRIs. For those of you who don't know what an MRI is, it's essentially a very large magnet, and because the internal device of your cochlear implant is metal, it's bound to be a disaster. Cochlear implants do require batteries for hearing. For some devices, that may mean new or recharged batteries every day. Cochlear implants can fail. In this situation, additional surgery is required to resolve the problem, and again, with surgery comes risks. Lastly, you can't let the external parts of your device get wet. It must be removed for activities such as bathing, showering, swimming, and water sports. If you decide that cochlear implants are what's best for your child, keep in mind there is always room for American Sign Language in that mix.
Yes, thank you, Natalie, and thank you, Kelly, for bringing this breaking news to the nation's attention that cochlear implants do not cure deafness. I want to remind parents, too, that even though cochlear implants act as an aid in developing your child's speech, they do not provide and ensure proper and complete communication or appropriate language acquisition. To best support your child's educational path, remember, ASL is always on hand. And thank you from Channel 17, DHH and H News. This has been Kira, Kelly, and Natalie. Thank you for watching. Good night.